Welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzetta Show presented by MyBookie, MyBookie.ag. It's just lovely to have you along for the ride. So thank God that's over. Opening night, media night there in the NFL. I don't understand. One thing I really don't understand about that whole night is for the fans, and then we never see the fans. Like they're not a part of it. And the teams get introduced, they walk out, you can barely hear the fans. Like Travis Kelce issues a Chiefs Kingdom, whatever, and you hear them a little bit. Saquon Barkley lets out a Go Birds. Don't hear anybody. Like I don't understand. Like if this night is truly supposed to be for the and really, I mean, is it just a overall promotion for the NFL that they want to make it more of a spectacle? Yes, and that was a good idea a couple, more than a couple years ago now. As opposed to having it in some afternoon where everything gets lost. They had it for this big, pomp and pageantry type of thing, and it's cool. It's a cool night, and I've covered one in the past, and they are pretty awesome. It's a media dream. These guys are just walking around. You could grab them at any time and ask them questions, maybe do a bit with them and whatever. It's awesome. But like, where the whole thing last night was, where are the fans? I know they're there. I know it's open to fans, and you could go in and. No matter where it is, in a stadium, arena, whatever. I forget where the one was in Arizona Minneapolis, when I was there. But I wish the fans were a more focal part of it. One of the real good things I like about media night is you do get a chance to see some of these guys in a little bit of a different element. Like Guillermo from the Jimmy Kimmel show asking Jalen Hurts questions is something that, I'd watch that. I want to see that. Instead of these guys getting the same questions from the same media members, whether national or local, they get a little different mix of people, a little different flavor, where they do ask the stupid question and people might roll their eyes of like, hey, what's your favorite color? And apparently Jalen Hurts said purple. Saquon Barkley said red. And he's like, oh, maybe I shouldn't say that. Maybe this is the wrong moment to say that red is my favorite color. I was like, no, that's a good point. Yeah, maybe not say red. But like those stupid questions kind of loosen players up for other things that we might not get. And an example of what we might not get is A.J. Brown yesterday talked about mental health. That has never been a thing. The only time we've talked about his mental state is reading the book about excellence, inner excellence, and how he had his own mental health struggles. And he had to fight his way through that to become the player that he is today, to become the person that he is today. Like, people roll their eyes at the dumb question, but a lot of times that really helps loosen up the subject. And I think that really helps with media night, for instance. And I know throughout the entire process, nobody said anything wrong as far as, oh, this night's such a distraction, and this is taking me away from my game. I think they all, in one way or another, leading up to last night, acknowledged that they, like A.J. Brown, again, feels like a paid actor doing something like this, where this is all for everybody else. They don't get to do anything for them until today. And they don't get to do anything after that until the Super Bowl. And I often think of the line you hear from a lot of coaches, 60 minutes for for the rest of your life. That whole thing, you're going out there to play 60 minutes for the rest of your life, and that's really what it is. You could be a Super Bowl champion, or you could be a two-time Super Bowl loser, or you could paint it however you want. You learned from 2 Super Bowl losses. Good for you. The city wants a Super Bowl, and looking at the last 8 years, I still can't believe the situation that we're in. From the Philadelphia I grew up in to the Philadelphia fan base that I grew up in, I still can't wrap my head around this run that the Philadelphia Eagles in particular are having, where they've already checked the box of winning a Super Bowl, and all of a sudden within the last 8 years, we're talking about being in three Super Bowls. There's a rumor that a longtime Eagles reporter might be on pre and post game with us on Sunday. And I will ask that longtime Eagles reporter, who also wrote a play. Go figure. I'll ask him, is this real life? Like, do you got to go back to 1948 and 49 and 1960 to even come close to NFL championships 3 in 11 years? 12, excuse me, maybe 12. 3 in 12 years. To come close to what this Eagles team has accomplished now, even before they play the game. Just being there. And I still can't believe it. And I'm watching these guys get interviewed last night, and I didn't even hear Jalen Hurts say this last night. He spoke for an hour. But the main thing is the main thing. Like, I didn't hear anybody stray from what the main thing was. They went along with bits. They went along with fun. Jameis Winston was running around with Fox, and he was asking players if they want to eat. He had cookies in the shape of W's. He had cookies in the shape of W's, and the whole time he's going, "Hey, you want to eat a W? You guys want to eat a W?" And I'm like, "Okay, he's running with this. All right, interesting." And then he was throwing the guys W's to eat. At first, I thought it was just some random fan. I'm like, don't eat that. Don't eat that. Please don't eat that. Like, out with food poisoning, Saquon Barkley. Ah! Damn that fan, you know? But the fan turned out to be Jameis Winston because it is hard to hear. It's not until you scroll around on other social media platforms that you realize what the hell was going on in some instances. But that was one of the instances. I learned something there. So I watched most of Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Saquon Barkley, Nick Sirianni. Howie Roseman addressed the media. Jeff Lurie got interviewed last night. Jeff Stoutland got interviewed. Vic Fangio. We'll let you hear from Stout and Fangio. Stout's hilarious. I like people, speaking about, again, philosophies on life. Jeff Stoutland has a great no BS philosophy on life. Like basically the philosophy of, why am I worried about anything? Like, my wife will tell me, are you concerned? Are you worried? And I'm like, it doesn't really. A guy I used to work with by the name of Al Morgani used to always he had a great mindset. Yeah, well, none of us are getting out of this alive. Might as well enjoy it. I'm like, that's a good point. It's kind of my philosophy as well. But the way you put it was a little darker. But I get it. And Jeff Stoutland has a very similar mindset. He got asked about why not take a coordinator job, why not move up a little bit, or whatever. And every time he's been asked about those questions in the past, every time I've seen him get asked those questions in the past, he just laughs it off. Like, do you really not realize how awesome my life is now? Like, why would I want to change anything? This is amazing. Like, I do this job. I'm great at this job. Players love me for this job. The city loves me for this job. Yeah, I think I'm going to keep this job. I think I'm going to stay in this job. And he gives his mindset and his philosophy on why he stays in the job that he has. And maybe doesn't find a coordinator position to be so attractive, and why run game coordinator might be as fancy schmancy a title as he really needs. So run game coordinator, of course, offensive line coach. Let's not leave out the most important thing. But he talked yesterday and was great. And Vic Fangio, Josh Sweat, some things in the news. Okay. Josh Sweat is supposedly getting interest from the New England Patriots. They're said to be interested. A whole bunch of teams supposed to be interested in Josh Sweat. So one guy that we really haven't heard Vic Fangio talk about much this year, and we really haven't heard him asked about much this year, is Josh Sweat. And Josh Sweat's an interesting character. I didn't really pay attention much to Josh Sweat until Chris Long, when he was with the Eagles. I remember one year, going into the Super Bowl year, I remember asking him, like, who's the guy people aren't paying enough attention to. And he was like, oh, Josh Sweat, people really pay attention. And he was coming back from a knee injury, and it was a long road ahead of him. And I'm like, okay, well, it's going to be a minute before there's anything we can really pay attention to. So I did. I started paying attention, and I noticed that, okay, yeah, sure, he's got good pass rushing ability, but I can't help but have Seth Joyner's voice in my head when I judge Josh Sweat, and I think about how he never sets the edge. Like, he's always cutting to the inside. And that's he does it more often than Seth Joyner would like. And I'll take his opinion over anybody else's. And what the job that he does of getting after the quarterback, and the job that he does of rushing the pass and all that stuff and putting pressure on the quarterback, does a great job of doing that. Everything else, I can take or leave. So if the Eagles lose Josh Sweat, let's just say, I'm okay, they lost Josh Sweat. I'm glad that they have an up-and-comer like Nolan Smith. Hey, Myles Garrett wants to trade out of Cleveland. See how that goes. I would doubt it would be Philadelphia. But one of the things it seems like the Eagles really know how to do is be able to draft edge rushers. So let's get another one, hopefully. So I don't really look at the Josh Sweat leaving scenario as anything I'm hyper focused on. But Vic Fangio was asked about Josh Sweat, the player, and what he brings to the table. So let's hear what Vic Fangio had to say about it. About the possibility of losing a guy like Josh Sweat in the offseason, and what Josh Sweat has done for the Eagles in his 1 year here so far. Vic Fangio's 1 year here so far. Jeffrey Lurie addressed the rumors of buying the Boston Celtics, said that that's not really something that he's examining. He he only got linked to it because they're for sale and he's from the area. So, okay, apparently there's nothing there. I still wish he would just buy the Sixers if he's going to buy any NBA team and just make Josh Harris an offer he can't refuse. Also, in the news, Kellen Moore and the New Orleans Saints. Kellen Moore has handled this like a pro, and I'll say all this under the umbrella of this is all stupid. This is all so dumb, and I know I've made the point ad nauseum, but if you've never heard me say it before, the idea that you can interview coaches that are in a Super Bowl about another job is ludicrous to me. Is absolutely bat-you-know-what crazy to me. But this is the world we live in. So with that aside now, Kellen Moore did all the right things last night. Didn't talk about the Saints. Didn't talk about the Saints job. But he was asked about the Saints job. He talked about he was focused on the Super Bowl. Good for you. I have no doubt in my mind, though, that has been on his mind. This is what you've been working for. This is what you feel like maybe you've been passed over for many times over. This is the opportunity. For all intents and purposes, Adam Schefter was talking about it yesterday. He's the leading candidate. And even Schefter yesterday used the word sidestep. When asked about the Saints job, Kellen Moore sidestepped the question. Oh, good. Because I want everything he said, everything out of his mouth to be Super Bowl 59, and that's it. That's all I want him concerned about. But I have zero doubt that is on his mind. Oh, your dream job's waiting over there? Okay. I can understand where that might be a little distracting. Winning a Super Bowl, that'd be pretty cool too. So that should be something easy to focus on. But over there, though, what's that shiny light over there? But this is the world we live in the NFL. But Kellen Moore, of all the things you could say, he did exactly what you would want him to do, said exactly what you want him to say. Last thing in the news, before I get into some of this stuff from yesterday. Chip Kelly is back in the NFL. If you remember, I talked about him leaving UCLA to become the offensive coordinator of Ohio State. Excuse me. When people asked why would he get away from a head coaching job to take a coordinator position? Well, I'll tell you, and I told you at the time, and I'll tell you now. The head coach of the UCLA Bruins is not getting an NFL head coaching job, but the offensive coordinator of Ohio State, Alabama, those kinds of schools, Auburn maybe, I don't know, like schools like that, SEC schools, those guys, they're getting NFL jobs. That's why Chip Kelly went to be the offensive coordinator of Ohio State. And I know some people didn't get that right away. I kind of understood that right away. And boom, where is he now? A year later, he's back in the NFL with the Raiders under Pete Carroll. Eagles are supposed to play the Raiders. This is going to be interesting. Very interesting, as a matter of fact. My take on, whether or not when Eagles fans are in the building, they should boo Chip Kelly, whether or not you should hear that. And, my first thought was, it's a former head coach. Years ago, Eagles have, been to 3 Super Bowls, won a Super Bowl since he left. Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie hit the reset button, and 2 years later, they won their first Super Bowl. Should I really hold a grudge against Chip Kelly? Should I really hate Chip Kelly? Come on. And then it took them all about 5 seconds to have those thoughts. And I quickly jumped to the right answer, which is, yes, I should still hate Chip Kelly. Yes, we should all still hate Chip Kelly. Because although everything worked out, it could very well not have worked out. And we would have been left behind by, LaShawn McCoy missing his prime here in Philadelphia, even adding on to being the Eagles' all-time leading rusher. We missed out on Deshaun Jackson's prime here in Philadelphia, where he could have been the Eagles' all-time leading receiver and could have helped whoever was the starting quarterback. Could have helped them to maybe win a couple playoff games, maybe make it to a Super Bowl. Could have done that. But instead, it was all about Chip. Chip broke the cardinal rule that every head coach should not break, which is it ain't all about you, man. The owner matters. The general manager, the team that hired you matters. The players on the field certainly matter. But Chip Kelly was such an arrogant SOB when it came to his scheme. It doesn't matter who I got. I got this brilliant scheme. Insert player here, and I'll even have say on the defense. Oh, I need Kiko Alonso here. Oh, brilliant. Great. I despise Chip Kelly. And, seeing him again in the media and his picture out there, I'm just like, I still have the feeling of screw this guy. Like, I ain't losing sleep over him, but if I'm reminded he exists, I'm like, oh, screw that guy. And I've told you guys many times over, oh, my goodness gracious, marrying into an Ohio State family and Chip Kelly going to Ohio State. And, they won a national championship. I don't. Nothing. There's no part of me that goes, oh, good for Ohio State. Like, I don't care. Like, that's my wife's family. Good for you guys. I'm happy that they're happy. Right. But when it comes to Chip Kelly having success, oh, no, I don't want to see his face. The guy, pillaged this organization and this franchise. He embarrassed a city that bought into the "in Chip we trust" stuff. I remember bringing in, not that I don't know if I doubt I coined the phrase, but the "in Chip we trust" stuff. Like, I remember thinking I think it went Chip Kelly and then Sam Hinkie in terms of this person is bigger than the franchise. And I'm talking about a good portion of the fan base. Like, no, I believe in this guy more than anything. I'm like, well, what about the rest of it? No, just this guy. This guy's got all the answers. I'm like, I don't know if he's got all the answers. I'm a little skeptical. I'm a boring skeptic. Okay. And I listened to Chip Kelly's press conference, and I was at his introductory press conference with the Eagles. I remember thinking, like, okay, let's give this guy. I remember thinking, all right, let's give this guy a whirl. Like, this is interesting. I remember him telling a reporter, if I think you could do this, I'll take you out back, run you around a little bit, and see if you can play defensive back for us, whatever. Like, he's open to any and all. And I remember him using I think it was Cortez, burn the boats thing. Like, I burn the boats. I'm like, okay, burn the boats. Well, what he ended up doing was burning the Eagles to the ground. And then somehow magically, in the 1 year of banishment of Howie Roseman, and that's the other thing, if you want to look at one silver lining thing, and I'm not a big silver linings guy, but man, if you want to talk about one positive thing, it's whatever happened in that year with Howie Roseman. I don't know if he I don't know what happened. I don't know if he climbed some mountain in Tibet or something, but he came back and he was very different. Very different. He invested a year in himself of getting better at what he wanted to be better at, and 2 years later was a Super Bowl champion. If there's anything you want to be, hey, thanks for sucking, Chip, that would be it. But I don't look at him with any, like, it's something that I haven't just pushed aside. And I'm usually not like that. I'm usually not like, oh, look, we're in a better place now. This is so great. Who cares about what happened then? Well, I care about what happened then. Because it was still a very fun team to watch. So, yeah, seeing Chip Kelly, there's still a lot of bitterness left in me. And you know what? I hate the root for bitterness, but I hope there's a lot of bitterness left in you as well. Other than that, I hope everything in your life is wonderful. But when you see Chip Kelly, I hope you have the same thought I have. You bastard. Anyway. So media night was fun last night. The cough that taunts. All right, let's get into some of this good stuff. Oh, Joe Whip, I'm seeing you down there. Golden Tate called Nick. Oh, BDN? Yeah, I saw that. You know who wasn't having that? Marshawn Lynch. Oh, that's a good Marshawn Lynch story. I'll get back to that later, man. All right. So, media night last night, A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts, Vic Fangio. Dallas Goedert said he couldn't name a Taylor Swift song. And then, did he reference Waterfalls twice? Did he reference that song twice? Don't go chasing waterfalls. Stick to the rivers and the lakes that you're used to. Anyway. Couldn't name a Taylor Swift song. I think he said, is she the lady that sings Waterfalls? Waterfalls. I'm trying to rid myself of the water. But anyway, that's interesting. I found that to be very, very interesting. But yeah, we'll get into it all. But overall, I thought media night was pretty cool. And I just wish that they would highlight the fans more. Or at all. That'd be good. All right. Where to start? Let's start with our quarterback, Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts yesterday, as part of the funsies, I believe it was. Let me see.
How can I get more handsome?
Oh, yeah, okay. Jalen Hurts, how can I get more handsome? Was one of the fun side topics of last night.
How can I get more handsome?
Sorry?
How can I get more handsome? My girlfriend says I'm the most handsome quarterback in the league. Any advice, like something to do with my hair? I'm desperate, anything.
Man, I don't know if I can help you on that one. That sounds like a DNA thing.
That sounds like a DNA thing. Our quarterback's quick on his feet. Quick on his feet, ladies and gentlemen. Man doesn't squat 600 pounds for nothing. That was one of them. The other one was for Guillermo from Jimmy Kimmel. Asked him, would you rather be the tush or the push? I thought that was well phrased. I thought that was funny. And Jalen, this is interesting. Jalen doesn't call it the tush push. Doesn't call it the brotherly shove. You know what he calls it? He calls it what it is. It's called the quarterback sneak. Ever hear of it? Here's why Jalen's wrong, though. Here's why Jalen's wrong. They ain't sneaking anything. The quarterback sneak means you snuck, which is a word, by the way. There's no sneaking. Or like, oh, look what he's about to do. Your offensive lineman. I mean, whether it's Jason Kelsey, whether it's Jordan Mailata, these guys, they can't help it. They're just like, hey, you know what's coming. Good luck trying to stop it. And then they do it, and then they get it. So, like, you're not sneaking. I mean, it's definitely not a quarterback sneak. I'm telling you that right now. But talk about that. Talked about the importance of establishing the run. Talked about his favorite color is purple. He caught a cookie from Jameis Winston. Oh, no, he didn't catch the cookie. The cookie went well over his head. This is very important to what could happen on Sunday, folks. Hope you're taking notes. If you're driving your car listening to this podcast, you need to pull over. You got to write this stuff down. You're going to need this for Sunday. Some of the important stuff to come out of Super Bowl opening night. So that all went down. And then this is actually something I really appreciated because I love the thought that goes into this. Jalen Hurts named, I think it was about five names. He was asked about who are some people on your team that are unsung, some people that don't get enough praise. You're more underrated players that you'd like to acknowledge. And you know what? Your quarterback had some names on the tip of his tongue, and the ones that weren't, he gave it a minute, and he made sure he thought about that. And I love that.
I can name a whole bunch of guys that do a lot of dirty work and maybe don't get the recognition. Sidney Brown, Tyler Steen, OB stepping in for Nakobe Dean. I'm still thinking. Kenny Gainwell. Will Shipley stepped in, made a big-time play last week, and ran the hell out of the ball. Yeah, that's what I got.
Don't go chasing waterfalls. Stick to the you used to. Let's tell me. Sorry, is that clip over? Okay. Look, I love the idea of this guy having these names right there. Like, for the most part. Like, the idea of just saying these guys don't do anything, and the first person he's mentioning is Sidney Brown. Like, I wouldn't expect Sidney Brown to be on Jalen Hurts' radar, but he is. That's beautiful. I'm here for that. I absolutely love that. I also love the idea of guys that are no longer on the Eagles still having to do with the Eagles. And as I have said many times throughout this season, one of my favorite things about this Eagles team is that the biggest fans of the Philadelphia Eagles are the Philadelphia Eagles, past and present. Nick Foles being around for the NFC Championship game, that's awesome. Apparently Fletcher Cox texted A.J. Brown. And yesterday, A.J. Brown talked about the text message he got from Fletch.
I just got a text message from Fletcher Cox. He just told me, no matter what you done up until this point, it doesn't matter. You got to go out and prove it on Sunday. and I needed to see that.
All right, I know some people. Oh, what do you mean you needed to see that? No, I don't care. Look, you are being pulled as a player, as a coach, in a million different directions, and I really do admire the guys that just acknowledge to them what a distraction all this is. I know we've talked about this a lot, but just to reiterate, A.J. Brown is one of those guys. He'd rather not do any of this. He'd rather just go through I think he said, show up on Friday, walk through Saturday, team meeting Saturday, play the game on Sunday. I think if you're a player, that's the exact schedule that you would want. As normal as possible. You have a week off, and then you come out, and then you try to play your best game. You try to have your best week of practice. But instead, you're being pulled in all these different directions, and you have to think about this and everything. Nothing is the same. You're completely out of your routine. Your family's out of the routine. You got to deal with that if you have a family, and that could be a lot. It's got to be a pain in the ass. Like, just as a father, I was thinking about Nick Sirianni yesterday. I'm just like, what, 3 kids? Does your wife just have to deal with all that? Like, are your in-laws in town? Like, I don't know. I don't know his family dynamic, but I'm just like as a dad, I'm watching over there on the podium yesterday. I'm just like, how is he handling it? How is it? What, are you on the same hotel? Was he a different hotel? Like, it just, there's some question he got asked, right? So, it was when Chad Johnson came up and kissed him. Chad Ochocinco came up and kissed Sirianni on the forehead, and Sirianni had no idea who it was. And the look on his face was like, am I in trouble? Oh, okay. All right. There we go. Who just kissed me? Oh, of course, it's Chad Ochocinco just walked up to the podium and kissed me because, of course, that's my life now. Anyway, so A.J. Brown saying I needed to see that, like, just a little reminder of it all doesn't matter anymore. And I try to, when thinking about teams like this, I try to put myself in the future, like, however many years down in the future, how will this team be remembered? And this has been one of the more incredible Eagle seasons of my life. I mean, first off, a 14-win season. What? Second, Saquon Barkley. I mean, I haven't seen an instant impact like this since T.O. And some people watching right now, some people listening later, you're young. You don't know what that was like. That was like, wait, hold on a second. We could have something like that. Like, for another generation, it might have been, I don't know, Ricky Waters, for instance. Watching Reggie White play for the Eagles, the amazing impact of that. Like, it's few and far between. Few and far between. Randall, seeing him run around, do all the incredible things he can do. Oh my God! Like, this is what Saquon Barkley is conjuring up images up again in my brain. Except, really, I was young for Reggie. I acknowledge that he's the best or second greatest defensive player ever in the NFL. So think about that for an impact. And then, of course, he goes to Green Bay. And then think about T.O. and Saquon. Like, Saquon Barkley, he's there. He's better. It's a better season. Still in the Super Bowl. We're talking about the greatest season potentially ever. The only 2 seasons you could compare with Saquon Barkley is Reggie. Those are the only 2 seasons you can compare. The best season of Reggie White in Philadelphia, with a sack record, by the way, and then Saquon Barkley. And Saquon Barkley's in the Super Bowl. That didn't happen with Reggie, unfortunately. Those are the seasons we're talking about here. There's 2. And Saquon just had the better one. Except you could say Reggie set the record as opposed to got too close to a record like Saquon, but still, it's pretty damn impressive. Excuse me. But that's the year he's having. And think about that in context of A.J. Brown. The man missed, 4 games and still had a 1,000-yard season? Still was one of the best in the NFL at yards per catch? That's pretty special. A big cog in the wheel here of what made this Eagles offense so successful. Saquon had a huge hand in that as well, obviously. But you think about all the things this team did, from Vic Fangio coming in here, from the rookie corners coming in here, with what they've been able to do. Like, everything that you've been able to hit on, the progression of Nolan Smith throughout the year, everything that you have done this year it all gets put in a different light on Sunday. Whether a light gets shined on it brighter when it comes to winning the Super Bowl, or, yeah, well, that was a great year, man. They should have won that Super Bowl. Gets put in a different light. What's the end of the story? What's the final chapter? And with the different directions you get pulled in, literally up until and through the game, like, it doesn't become normal football again, really, until the second half of the Super Bowl. Like, okay, the extended halftime show is over. Kendrick Lamar was out there doing his thing. And now it's time to play the final 2 quarters of the Super Bowl. After that, it's kind of normal. But everything gets thrown out the window for how great this year was. Everything gets thrown out the window, and it all comes down to how you play on Sunday. So I love the idea of Fletcher Cox texting A.J. Brown and saying, yeah, all that was nice, but no, this is all that matters. I can't wait. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, can't wait. Can't wait. So I love what AJ had to say. Saquon, when he addressed the media yesterday, talked about what a great job the guys have done up front, as one would assume. He called Chris Jones maybe the best defensive player in the NFL, so making sure that he gets around him and not allowing him to wreck the game. Again, it seems like Saquon says this every media session now. Can't be great without the greatness of others. Said it again yesterday. Credited Nick Sirianni with that. Taking everything in. Happy to be here. He's enjoying the moment. Oh, I did hear an Eagles chant. The first Eagles chant I heard of the night was when Saquon was addressing the media. Favorite color's red. I mentioned that, but it's worst time to mention. Worst time to say that. Great, given that they're playing the Chiefs. Love the Giants fans. Super Bowl on his birthday. He shouted out Cooper DeJean as well, his birthday. All in all, good stuff from Saquon. Yeah, those are my major takeaways from there. As far as another head coach, another coach, Vic Fangio addressed the media yesterday as well. This is where he made a comment about Josh Sweat, who, if you haven't seen, is apparently getting interest from other teams. That he's in his final year of his career.
Yeah, he's kind of a steady rock, yet can make up some very important plays. And really like the way he approaches his job, approaches how he plays the game. He's tough, he's physical. You know, it's a good mix of guys, and you need some guys like that.
Yeah, I would say he's pretty steady. That's exactly what Josh Sweat was this year. That's pretty much what he's been. Huge season. The year the Eagles had 70 sacks that year. 2 years ago in the Super Bowl. I don't look at Josh Sweat as a playmaker. Like I don't look at him as a guy who's like, oh, they better re-sign him. The priority for the Eagles. There's 2 priorities this offseason. One is Mekhi Becton, and then the other, and I'll even put him in front of Mekhi Becton, is making sure Zach Bond doesn't go anywhere. He needs to be here. And Zach Bond, I give him all the credit in the world when it comes to every time he's asked about coming back to Philly, he's like, hey, look, I'd love to be back here. I want to be back here. But it takes 2 to tango. And I remind people that people like Zach Bond have been playing their careers for moments like this. Like I always go back, and I know some people, this is a gut punch, but Jason Worth in baseball all those years ago with the Phillies, I've played my whole career for this season. He played his whole career to sign, what was a $127 million deal with the Nationals? Like, that was his great opportunity. He took that opportunity. Zach Bond, sure, he established himself as a inside linebacker with the Philadelphia Eagles with a huge credit to Vic Fangio saying, oh, no, this guy's definitely an inside linebacker, and then making him an inside linebacker. And then he's an all-pro. He's a defensive player of the year candidate. That's pretty spectacular. That's pretty spectacular. I would love for him to offer some kind of Vic Fangio discount, if you will, but I don't think he's going to do that. Man's got a family to think about. It's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing, but that's a priority in the offseason. Josh Sweat is not a priority to me. I look at Josh Sweat and I see a guy who's replaceable. Am I underrating Josh Sweat? Do you think he's a game wrecker, or do you think it's, oh no, you got somebody who's steady, you got to keep him around? Yeah, you keep him on the cheap, and it doesn't hinder the chances of getting a guy like Zach Bond re-inked here in Philadelphia. Then yeah, sure. I'm not saying I'd force him out the door. I'm just saying I wouldn't miss him. Am I alone there? Let me know. Hey, the reason I have Zach Bond as literally the reason, there's one. The reason I have Zach Bond as my number one priority over Mekhi Becton is because of this guy, Jeff Stoutland. Jeff Stoutland has a great program at Stoutland University. You seem to be able to graduate in at most 4 years, which was a little bit of a project there for Jordan Mailata, and rightfully so. But then he's a starter, and he's all-pro worthy and Pro Bowl worthy. Didn't get a Pro Bowl somehow magically, but that's the way it crumbled. So, yeah, Stoutland can make himself a right guard just like that, apparently. So Jeff Stoutland yesterday got asked by a reporter. I can't place the reporter's accent. I think it's in here. But he got asked by a reporter about moving up the coaching ladder.
But do you have ambition for the offensive coordinator or elevate your career?
Yeah, I don't worry about any of those things. I at a young age, when I first started coaching, I had someone very dear to me that always said to me, do not worry about your next job. Do the very, very best at the job you're at, and the rest of it takes care of itself. So that's the way I go about my world.
Look at that. Again, the man's got it. He's cracked the code on life. He hasn't just cracked the code on shaping fine young men into great offensive linemen. He's cracked the code on life as well. Let's use that philosophy in our daily walk of lives, folks. Mental health coach Jeff Stoutland, Stoutland University. But in all seriousness, that's the exact mindset you want to have. And every time he gets asked about moving up, he just seems like, you realize how awesome my life is? You realize that I'm really great at this thing? Like, a lot of people spend a lot of time searching to be great at something. I'm great at this. I'm well compensated. I got another fancy title. Like, yeah, let me be great in the position I'm in, and then, yeah, the rest will take care of itself. And I think about these offensive linemen. Tyler Steen getting thrown into left guard yesterday. Yeah, right. Over a week ago now. And just handling his business. Did a fine job. No problem. Mekhi Becton, never a guard. All of a sudden, he's a great guard. That's crazy how that happens. Cam Jurgens, interior lineman, certainly, but playing right guard like it was nothing. Let's play right guard. No problem. Oh, then right back to center and play great at that level. You lose a Hall of Famer in Jason Kelsey, and Cam Jurgens is just right there to do it. Yeah. This is insane. Fred Johnson. Fred Johnson comes in. The early goings of this season, takes over for, who was it? Was it Lane? And or was it Jordan? No, I can't remember the first 4 weeks of the season. But he comes in, Fred Johnson plays, and he's fine. Fine. You're fine. Everything's fine. Do we realize what's going on here? This is incredible. This doesn't happen. And here we are. And a huge thank you to Jeff Stoutland for everything that he brings to the table to make sure that offensive line is there to protect the run game and there to protect their quarterback. It's pretty amazing. And, yeah, thanks to opening night for bringing back a lot of the memories of this season, with the exception of forgetting who was hurt early in the year. I think it was Lane. Anyway, those are my major takeaways from media night last night and the hilariousness of it all. Oh, no, one more thing. Howie Roseman. I don't have a clip for you. But when Howie was addressing the media yesterday, I couldn't hear the reporter great. But I think he asked him about the year Chip Kelly was here, Chip Kelly's final year, where it was really the official Howie banishment. And he just thought about proving himself again, getting better at the position that he wanted to get back in the NFL. He thought that he might have to go somewhere else to kind of reinvent himself. Jeffrey Lurie kept him around here in Philly, and the rest is history. I mean, you talk about turnarounds. I don't, it's really difficult. Like, the only thing that really comes close in my mind, and The only thing that really comes close is Bobby Clark as the GM of the Flyers. Like, basically was the GM. Then Russ Farwell took over. I think I have that name right. And then Bobby Clark came back. And the Flyers in 97 went to a Stanley Cup final. And they got blown out. They got swept by the Red Wings and ruined the 8th grade. I graduated 8th grade that year. Yeah. They ruined the 8th grade graduation party. I was at. Sorry, Monica Daniels. Shout out, Monica. Yeah, it's terrible. Absolutely terrible. That's the only thing that might come close. But Howie was banished from the land, came back and won a Super Bowl. And not only that, has hit on draft pick after draft pick after draft pick. Look, I understand Justin Jefferson, Jalen Reagor is still one thing that we'll always look at and be like, what the how? But they did win a Super Bowl. They have been at another one. It's pretty insane. Let's see. Anything else before I get to the chat check? Oh, yes, of course. So I find it interesting in a time where we're concerned about officiating in sports and we're all concerned about what could happen in this Super Bowl with the Kansas City Chiefs and favoritism towards them and all that. I always think it's loser energy to blame officials. But when it's blatant, as it has been in the past, that's where it'll draw attention. My thing for the Eagles is, all right, don't put it in the hands of the officials. Don't put it where it's, because of this, we lost. No, don't. There's going to be other things. Like, for instance, in the Super Bowl previously against the Chiefs, and I know Jalen balled out and his efficiency rating was all that. It was great, but he still had a fumble that was 7 points. Like that, people just gloss over that now. Like, he still had a fumble in the Super Bowl. That was 7 points. One of the reasons I feel the Eagles are going to win this game on Sunday is because Jalen Hurts doesn't do that anymore. Jalen Hurts does not put the precious pigs in peril, baby. He'll take a sack if that means he won't turn the football over, even though a sack still is 2 points and a turnover. But whatever. He'll still take that sack. But I found it interesting yesterday that Major League Baseball announced they officially fired Pat Hoberg, the umpire who was using a friend to make bets and bet on baseball. And the story I read on this was from Yahoo. And Yahoo, I thought, had the greatest headline ever because they literally put it in the headline that the friend bet on baseball. All it does is make that voice in the back of your head, is this fixed? All it does is make that voice louder. It turns up the volume, which is obviously not a good thing. And people talk about, what would actually hurt the NFL, because we look at the NFL, nothing has hurt the NFL. Nothing has hurt the NFL. You think about the biggest scandals that have happened in the NFL over the last 15 years. Numbers are up, 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 up. The only thing that will threaten the NFL, the only thing that will truly threaten is if fans don't think it's legitimate. And I'll give you the perfect example. One of the biggest times fans were upset with the game itself was the replacement officials. Now, why was it? Why was that? Because what we felt like what we were watching wasn't legit. Like, Gene Steratore in Baltimore literally got a standing ovation. The officiating crew literally got a standing ovation when they walked back onto the football field. I think it was a Sunday night game that they got everything ironed out. And I wasn't there, unfortunately, that night. But they literally got a standing ovation. That's because what we were watching wasn't legitimate. Now, baseball's got this problem. Baseball's had betting problems in the past, as we know. Yeah, this is obviously a terrible, terrible look for the game of baseball. When the investigation was going on last year, he wasn't umpiring games last year. Like, I was thinking about it, I'm like, that name sounds kind of familiar, but I realized that he didn't do any games last year. So I wouldn't have him in my notes because I keep notes. One of the things I always write down is who's behind the plate. Yeah. So how about that? Another hit for the game of baseball. Anyway, all right. If you're just joining us, we've been talking about football the entire time, except Right there. All right. Hey, let me tell you about the Game Time app. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code Farzy, and get $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app. Want to go to the game, the concert, the comedy show? Download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code Farzy, and get $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app. So have yourself a good time right there on the Game Time app. How about PHL Sports Nation, Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs? That's phlsportsnation.com. How about Sky Motorcars? SkyMotorcars.com. Check out Brett's amazing inventory at SkyMotorcars.com. One more thing before I get
Do you have ambition for the
French? Where are you guys going with that accent? France? Is that a French accent?
Do you have ambition for the offensive coordinator or elevate the career? Yeah.
French? Do you guys think French? German? Do you think he's a German? What accent is that? I've heard accents in my lifetime. I'd be like, "Oh, that's a Spanish accent," and the guy's like, "I'm from Germany." I'm like, "What?" And I think I'm fairly worldly. But one of the things that really blows your mind when you travel, though, and you hear accents, is it's where the person learned English. Like, one of the things that never really blew my mind when I got married overseas in Italy. Our wedding planner had an English accent. She was Italian, born and raised in Italy, but she learned English in England. So her English had an English accent. Like, it's just one of those things you just don't think about. Like, it makes sense, but you just don't, I'm not in that world. Like, I don't think about it. And she's like, "Oh yeah, I worked in my cousin's restaurant." Like, this born and raised, like, Italian woman, she learned English in her cousin's restaurant in England. All right. So I don't know. I hear French accent. One more time.
Do you have ambition for the offensive coordinator or
Coordinator? I don't know. I'm not making fun. I'm literally trying to. I'm going to go French. If I had to bet on it, if I was Pete Holberg, I'd bet French. Anyway. All right. Let's get to the chat check. Enough of that. Ugh. Thank you. Let's get to the chat check and see how wonderful people are doing this. Fine. Okay, look, I see him rolling it right now. Sean Kilrain, that guy is French. Oui. There we go. Ooh, Jason A., I like this. Portuguese Brazilians. When I was on the radio many years ago, wait, do we have another vote for Portuguese? Sean Gillespie says Portuguese. Joe Whip says French. Louisiana. You're saying the French Connection in Louisiana. Hey. Oh, I just had an insane Louisiana connection. I told you guys yesterday I'm on my 200th go around on Band of Brothers, right? Watching that, the amazing, still the greatest television I've ever watched. And the medic in the show, Eugene Rowe, says he's from Louisiana and he's half Cajun. And he talks about how his grandmother laid the hands on people to heal them, which is insane. So then, because again, I'm a history nerd, I remember recently watching this thing on the Da Vinci Code, and one of the things they talked about with the, whatever you think about the Da Vinci Code, I'm just talking about the movie. They say that the descendants in this movie, the alleged descendants of Christ, had the Merovingian kings in France could lay their hands on people. Did the Merovingians move to Louisiana? I was like, "Oh, is that the connection?" Because Eugene Rowe. This is what's in my brain that aren't in the files labeled sports. And sometimes those files just creak open a little bit. I was like, "Oh, wow, that might be a thing." But anyway, yeah, that was a cool connection to that. I'm from Louisiana. It's called treating when you heal a person. Oh, that's cool. Oh, my God, Jeffrey Todd. Love Band of Brothers. I have the box set, the tin box set. Yeah. I recently watched, maybe within the last 2 years, I watched The Pacific. It was awesome. Absolutely awesome. All right, now let's get to the top of the chat check here. Okay. 5 days, says Dunner. All right, not including today. Why Niners, welcome to Farzy, going to fly after Sixers. April morning, Sunday, can't come fast enough. I agree. Angelo Balin, what's going on? Go Birds, go Birds. Sean, I ended the Wings game Saturday night. The Wings, unfortunately, they took a loss, their first home loss of the year. Wings are pretty damn good this year. I ended my last announcement when I do the future games, buy tickets, future games, and all that stuff. I was like, thanks for coming out. Safe travels home, and go Birds. And then the people walking out, I could see turn around, go Birds. Like, there we go. Daz, what's going on? Hello. Satan, what's going on? Good morning, Farzi from the Middle East. Longest week ever. All the way over there in the Middle East. Am I saying your name right? Or is it like Satan? I hope I'm saying your name right. Daz, what's going on? I hate having the two teams in the stage before the Super Bowl being all chummy. Yeah, it's not for me either. And I thought, no, it's not worth it. But whatever. It was pretty good. Jameis is hilarious. He definitely will have a career in TV. Yeah, I'll admit he was cracking me up. Jameis Winston is he's out of his gourd. I saw him tell a story recently where he was at the link and somebody at the link brought crab legs. Somebody at the link brought crab legs for him. And he's like, think about the trouble that person had to go through to get crab legs into Lincoln Financial Field. That's great. If you give Jalen a cookie, he'll win the Super Bowl. All right. Dunno, that's funny. Sean Kilray, hello again. E-Money, Bentley, go Birds. Ray Ginger said, I think the Eagles are going to be able to run the football on these guys. I do. We all know the Eagles run that inside zone. And if you break down the Chiefs' numbers, continue for previous comment. I love this, Sean. Thank you. They're not particularly good at defending that kind of running game. They gave up about 4.5 yards per carry against the inside zone. That's good to know. I did not know that. Why would Josh go to a trash team? Money. Joe Witt, Mark Holmes thinks Dallas will get Garrett. All right. What's up, Mark Holmes? Dallas don't have money. This is great. Dax all, folks. That's funny. If nothing else, hopefully Moore is focused on winning the Super Bowl, so he's pretty much guaranteed the job. There you go, April. I like that. Win that job, then focus on the next thing. Ooh, Shane Steichen's also available if Moore gets poached. Wait, what was it? Shane Steichen? Hold on. Maybe I've just been concentrating way too much on the Eagles. Shane Steichen didn't get fired, did he? No, he's still with the Colts. Next year? Kept Nick Foles over Sam Bradford, Chip Kelly. Ugh. Chip Kelly ignored the Eagles fans. The fans should return the favor. Oh, just ignore them? Yeah, I don't really think that's in our blood. Dylan Buss said Chip Kelly was not a leader, but did have a good offensive scheme. Here's the funny thing, though. His offensive scheme, we really only saw for 2 quarters. That was the first 2 quarters we saw Chip Kelly against the then the Redskins. It was the first time we saw it. And that's the only time. They were never that fast again after that. They still ran hurry up, certainly. Spread offense, hurry up. But it was never that quick again. I was about to say, Farzi, we still hate Chip Kelly. I know it's a strong word, but it's strong feelings. I know, and this is in the context of sports. So I never, hate's a strong word. No, I don't. I understand what you're saying, Jason. You don't need to clarify. I appreciate it. All-time Birds. Drew Christensen was going. I hate Chip Kelly for dismantling the amazing offensive skill position player group. That being said, do we win a Super Bowl without the Chip? That's the other thing. Yeah, I don't think you do. Like, think about everything that had to go right for that Super Bowl. You don't get Carson Wentz. Maybe Nick doesn't find his inner peace with the game of football and come back. I don't know. Maybe he never leaves. I don't know. There's way too many maybes. I know. We'll never truly know. Yes, that's right. The only good thing we got from Chip is Jeff Stoutland. That is true. Jason, how far as he sing it? Waterfalls, yeah. Aren't all Tay-Tay songs the same? They are definitely not. Now that I live in a household that's constantly playing Taylor Swift. Thanks to my wife and daughter. Mark singing TLC was not on my bingo card for this year. Really? Maybe the week. No. Yeah, TLC, man. Come on. Lisa Left Eye Lopez. TLC being sung on a sports talk show. Another first. You never know what you'll hear next there, Sean. You know. Chip sucked at coaching with his time here for sure. Yeah, it's a trade shady for Kiko, straight up. Really, Chip? Yep. I did catch a little bit of that Golden Tate interview with Joe Whippier they're talking about here. Called Nick that BD on the podcast. He had interesting things to say about Wentz, and Nick confirmed everything I suspected. Yeah, all the reports that were out there, they're true. Like Carson Wentz was a crappy teammate, man. Crappy teammate. From everything I gather. Golden basically said that he had his boys, Carson Wentz had his boys, and didn't really know how to work a locker room like Nick Foles did. By the way, more and more has come out about Marshawn Lynch and that Super Bowl losing to the Patriots because of the interception by Malcolm Butler on the goal line. I was at that Super Bowl. And I have a buddy who works on the sidelines, and he told me after the game, he's like, yo, Marshawn was pissed. And I was like, what, that he didn't get the ball? I think a lot of people are pissed he didn't get the ball. He goes, oh, yeah, he was pissed. And I remember there was a camera shot of him coming off the field, and he just looked like he was on another planet. He didn't look angry. He didn't look sad. He just didn't look like he was in the moment. And people saw that and be like, oh, you're full of it, Farzetta. Look, he was fine on the sidelines. Enough has come out now where he was not fine. Apparently, he went up and laughed at Pete Carroll's face. And then he interrupted his press conference, which was also funny when he got introduced with the Raiders. Oh, that's right. Juju Smith-Schuster talking that crap out of the Super Bowl. Yeah. Raekwon Purnell was going, good morning, go Birds. Hurts is smooth in big games, calm, confidence. I expected the Eagles offense to play well early. Yeah, I really expect the Eagles. The Eagles should win this game. The Eagles should be favored in this game. But that's not going to happen because the Chiefs have won 2 Super Bowls in a row. One of them was against the Eagles. Secondary is legit. Secondary is legit. Danny D says, go Birds. Jonathan Harvey. The 3 Chiefs the Eagles must affect are Chris Jones, Patty Holmes, and Travis Kelce. Eagles edge rushers must pressure Patty, and Patty must be negated when he decides to run. Nevertheless, Eagles win. I'm with you. Oh, here's the guesses on the gentleman's ethnicity. Oh, yeah, for the Major Dick Winters. Yeah. He's from the middle. Yeah, he's from Lancaster. Oh, and you're from Lancaster as well, Jeffrey. That's cool. Yeah, I had a professor in college, Bill Ordine, who was a Eagles beat writer for the Inquirer a long time ago. And he was a big Band of Brothers guy. Bill was great to talk to after class. He would really tell us stories of the Fog Bowl, and me and a couple other guys in the class. My buddy Stones, our buddy Bill, Bob, we'd sit there and just wow, tell us about the Fog Bowl, yeah. And he'd be see that drywall over there? That was the press box window. That's exactly what it looked like. You couldn't see through it. But yeah, I remember we talked a lot about him. And then Dick Winters died in 2005. Oh, 2011. 2011, he passed away. 92 years old. God bless him. Ephrata, PA. God, that's his story, man. So amazing. And I've looked stuff up after that. And it's like, how is this guy not in the Medal of Honor? Band of Brothers. If you haven't watched it, it's the greatest TV I've ever watched. Skid Marks. Good luck on your bet. I bet the Eagles to win it all in August to win 3,800 with Sweat probably gone and number 93 gone. I think it makes sense for Howie to trade for Myles Garrett. If you could afford it, if you can make that money happen. Home Solo, what's going on as far as the Chiefs did us bad last Super Bowl with the motion? Yes, they absolutely did. We've talked about that, but we're better this year. Yeah, I feel a lot better about the Eagles against motion this year. Shane's still with the Colts. Yeah, I was talking about that. Great. There we go. Yeah, by the way, I've had nothing but good times in New Orleans. It's really my only experience in Louisiana, but I know I'm not in the minority there. Thanks. Hey, everyone in the chat. In Band of Brothers, the number of actors who went on to do stuff is incredible. Yeah, Michael Fassbender's in it. Tom Hardy has a part in it. Jimmy Fallon was already famous when he did it. He was already on Saturday Night Live, but he's in it briefly. There's so many guys in that. I mean, Ron Livingston was already in Swingers, and he was already in Office Space. So in my mind, he had already made it. I think he is great in that show. Every time I hear Damian Lewis speak in an interview, I always go, oh, yeah, that's right, he's British. I always forget that he's British. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right, he's British. And, very British. It's not like, hey, skinny marinky dank, but it's not far off. We got TLC for the people on the podcast. As you've heard today, we've got TLC singing, and there was just a skinnamarink dink in a very authentic Cockney British accent. But it's not far off. You're like, holy Lord, he's very British. Not even the refined British. He's not even do you want some tea? He's like, do you want some tea? If you guys haven't noticed, I'm amazing at accents. All right, anyway. But yeah, Band of Brothers is great. Watch Band of Brothers. Thanks. Okay, what that's Jimmy Fallon, Michael Fassbender. Tom Hardy, I mentioned. There's a couple more that I think I'm forgetting, but yeah, they're pretty amazing. Thank you, Dan, for bringing that up. Hey, everyone in the chat, you guys are wonderful as per usual. Let's get to the morning rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars, SkyMotorcars.com. Hey, did you miss the Sixers? No? Well, they're playing the night anyway. 7 o'clock. They look to avoid 3 straight losses. So there's that. Yeah. That's fun. Hopefully Gershon Yabusele is still a Sixer come Thursday. 4 p.m. deadline? I don't know. Flyers, I believe, are also back at it tonight. They haven't scored a goal in 3 games, so that's fun. They got Utah tonight, 9 o'clock in Utah as they continue their road trip. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is The Farzy Show. Make sure you hit like and subscribe on The Farzy Show YouTube channel. Make sure you hit like and subscribe on Jacob Media. Make sure you hit like and subscribe on the Seth Joner Show YouTube channel. Make sure you hit like and subscribe on the Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel as well, where yours truly brings you your Sixers postcasts after each and every game. Look forward to talking to you guys again tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. My name is Mark Farzetta. Like and subscribe to The Farzy Show on the Farzy Show YouTube channel. Be back with you guys tomorrow.
Well, that's pretty dope.
Damn right it is, Nick. Thanks. See you tomorrow. Bye.